So after last week's flowers, and because they're quite addictive, I guess, I decided to just keep doing them. But this time we are using our very sexy black paper and our awesome metallic Kuretake Gansai Tambi paints. Can you imagine how these will turn out? I'm very, very excited. Let's go. Okay, so even though the theory is exactly the same as we did for the last video, there are some significant differences I need to tell you about, okay? And if you haven't seen it, I will leave a link in the description so you can check it out after this one, of course. So essentially, to make these flowers, we just add color dots in a sort of star shape, and then we blend the paints together. But here's the thing, white paper allows you for soft, pastel, highly diluted colors. Black paper does not, which means that your metallic paints need to be very active, very bright. We need to use more paint than we did for the flowers on white paper, because if you don't, the flowers just won't show. What I'm saying here is it's watercolors, but we don't want a lot of transparency because the black can be very overwhelming. Sexy but overwhelming. You know how it is. But at the same time, this technique calls for a lot of water. So you really need to find that perfect water-paint ratio. Enough water to make blending easy, but not too much water to make the paints too transparent, in which case they won't show. Also, metallic paints are notoriously harder to activate. If it's done well, you can get a nice, creamy, vibrant paint to play with, but if you don't give it some time to activate, you'll struggle. Okay. Let's start, shall we? Okay, these are the colors that I have selected. My two Kuretake Gansai Tambi metallic sets. And these are so pretty, so vibrant. There are a couple, well, at least one color that is the same with both kits. So there we go. So we have essentially 11 paints to play with. And you have actually seen these colors in action before when I swatched them, and if you haven't watched that video yet, I'll just add a link in the description so you can check it out after this one, okay? It's actually a really fun video, and I think I added more metallics. Yeah, because my big Kuretake Gansai Tambi set, my 36 set, actually has a couple more goldens that I show in that video. So this is a brush I am using. It is a round brush with a nice little tip. I have seen the original videos for these kinds of flowers where they use this flat brush, this really big brush, but for me it just doesn't give me as much control as with my round brush, or maybe I'm just used to the round brush by now. So this is what I use. You can use whatever works for you, okay? You can use like something like this, you know, slanted flat brush. You can use a, I don't know, a tiny flat brush like this one. This one's actually wet. Something like this, you know, whatever works for you is just fine. Okay, so now this is activated. So let's make our 5 little dots. I think I'm going to start with the pink. Oh, look at that. They are so creamy. I don't know if you can see them, but they look wonderful. So let's start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think this is enough paint, so I'm gonna go over again, because yeah, metallics, you need a lot of paint for them to show, okay? On black paper. Well, actually on white paper too, they can be quite transparent. So let's go. Oh, look at that. They are so creamy when activated properly. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And now let's pick a third color. Maybe, you know, a nice little gold. So creamy. And you can put them to the side. You can put them after the others. It works either way. We're ready to blend. So a couple of things I'd like to say. First, do not wait too long before blending, or the paints will dry and the original dots will show and the colors just won't blend as well. You really need those paints to be really nice and wet, okay? 2, don't worry if when you're doing the first blending, it doesn't look like the petal you'd like to make. For now, we're just mixing colors, okay? Then we worry about the shape. 3, you can totally make 4 petals instead of 5, you know, just do what works best for you. And 4, last but certainly not least, don't worry if it looks crappy. You know, I have made many dot flowers that when I first looked at them, I wanted to toss the whole thing. Don't, okay? Wait for them to dry to see how they look and then sketch over them like we will be doing in the end, and only when you're truly finished. Can you judge how good they look? And odds are they will look really, really good. I am making these way too big, so I really need to tone it down a bit, or I'll just make like 3 or 4 flowers and we'll be done with it, and that's not really what we want at all. So let me just do a tiny one, and we just keep going, you know, we just keep adding color dots. This time I'm just going to do these 2 color dots that then turn into petals, that then turn into flowers. And you never really know what you're going to get until you actually see those petals coming to life. Yeah, this is better. Tinier, tinier. I like it very, very much. And while you can overlap flowers, no problem with that, you don't want to fill the whole thing with flowers, okay? You need to give them room to breathe. I find that in watercolor, the negative space is almost as important as the painted space, okay? So keep that in mind. So now we are adding tiny dots to the side. Another little golden one, I guess. 4, 5. And this one will definitely overlap, and I like that. Ooh, look at that. Now, another thing to consider is metallic colors are much brighter and much lovelier once they're first dry and second in natural light, okay? So don't worry if you think you're not seeing much, these will totally work out. Like I said, you need to wait for it. Let's do one here, lots of paint. Here with maybe this platinum right here. Oh, such a pretty color. These metallics are awesome. Is this weird? We shall see. Okay, let's do this. A little bit on the dark side, but that's okay. Can still totally see them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So remember when I told you back in the first video about the white space here? That is not as important because, you know, like I said, black overwhelms everything. So for this one, you totally have my agreement to just paint the whole thing. Here. Okay, so now that our flowers are nice and done, I am kind of debating if we should add leaves like we did for the first, you know, the previous one. What do you think? Do leaves work or not really? I'm pretty sure I won't be adding any blooms like we did in our last one, but I guess I could do a couple of leaves, you know, larger leaves. And I do have this wonderful green right here. So let's do that. I don't know, maybe some tiny flowers. Let's see. I don't think we've got enough gold in here. Can definitely add a bit more. So let's see. Yeah, guys, I'm back to the flowers. Sorry. When I say it's addictive, I mean it. It really is addictive. You keep seeing space to just draw more and more, you know. Oh, there's still a little bit of room over there. Oh, look, a little bit of room over there too. Oh, I bet this would look good here. Yeah, that can totally, it kind of feels like how I am with cats. You know, there's always room for one more. So yeah, that's how I treat my dot flowers too. There's always room for more and more and more, and you just can add more and more water until it gets crazy and completely out of hand. Yeah, that's how I measure when it's enough, when it is out of control. But we don't want to fill it still, so I'm trying to be sensible here. Not sure I'm actually doing it, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, blending. Ooh. So just 4 petals overlapping, and yeah, someone get me away from this because this is fine. Now that our flowers are somewhat dry, and metallic paints really do dry real quickly, we'll just be adding at the center of our flowers. Do you remember that step? You know, just a little bit of contrasting paint to make them more vibrant. And yes, you could totally do this while the flowers are wet, but if this paint bleeds, your flower will just become something totally different. So I just prefer to do it this way. So let's see, what color would be good with this? I would say maybe some gold. You just dab it all the way around and you're done. With this one, I'm going to do gold. Yeah, the gold works really, really well in sprucing up these little flowers. Look at that, it just works. I am very tempted to do gold on all of them. I mean, look at this. It just works so much better than the paint that you can barely see, right? So yeah, let's go with the gold then. Look at that, much better. This needs to be activated. This was a fresh one. I hope it doesn't bleed. That would suck. Let's try red with this golden one right here. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's try actually red with this one too. Yeah, don't worry if it's extra water, it will dry eventually. Really need to get a heat gun, but haven't yet. But you really want that to be a lot of paint, because otherwise, particularly if it's a lighter color than the one you're using on the flower, it will just disappear. So what's the point? See, this one's bleeding right here. It kind of looks cute if it doesn't go overboard, which I hope it doesn't. Yeah, this one is still pretty wet too. Hopefully it doesn't bleed. I'm going to take this one for here. Almost there, guys. Here, it definitely needs the white. I'm going to go with the white for this one also. So let's try the green. Yeah. Okay guys, now we wait until they're nice and dry before our doodling or sketching or whatever you like to call it. So I will be right back. I am back. This is all nice and dry. No heat gun yet, but working on it because I waste a lot of time waiting for paint to dry. So doodling over wet paint pretty much ruins your pens, okay? And the overall effect of the whole thing. So waiting for paint to dry in this case really does make a difference. And look at this. I mean, if you can, just go back to when we were painting them and how little you can see the paint and how vibrant it is right now. Lots of color here, still looks a bit of a mess, but it won't for much longer because now we are going to doodle. And trust me, you know, the doodling, the sketching, whatever you want to call it, really makes a difference for these little flowers. It made all the difference for the last video and it will make even more difference with this one. So since our paper is black, we're using white. Black and white is definitely my favorite combo by far. It is timeless and perfect and will really make these flowers pop. Okay, so here we go. Loose hand, we just go where the pen takes us, no worries whatsoever. We can do a double line if we want to correct something, we just go with it, okay? It can be really relaxing if you just trust that things will work out in the end. Right over here, so we just make tiny little balls in the middle. Oh, sorry. And we just, don't worry, they will overlap. That's the whole point. They look much cuter that way. Just draw the petals. And then from these balls right here, these tiny little circles, we just do some stems. We can do 3, we can do 2 if the flower, the petal is tiny like this one, really no point. No. You can add 3 of course, but you know, you can add 3, you can add 2, you can do whatever you want. And let's get to it. Anyway. What do you think, guys? Will this look gorgeous or what? I haven't forgotten about these ones, don't worry. I just didn't feel like the paint was all that dry when I did my first doodles, so I decided to just give them some more time, but now they're perfect. See, this is the perfect example of a flower that looked really, really brown when we first, you know, when we first painted it. And it looks like it was going to be really crappy, but now it's pink, it's golden, it's, you know, peach color. I don't even know how to explain it except to say that it is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And that is why we wait until the paint dries, okay? You can see what I was telling you about, you know, the white, as it goes over the paint, it starts to lose color, and yeah, it's not a good thing to have. But just clean it and wait for it to dry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Almost there, guys. Almost there, and this is looking very, very cute. Okay. This one first. And for our last one, tiny little circles. Okay guys, and I think we're done. I am pretty impressed with these. They do look much better in natural light, but I can't show you this today because it's raining. So what do you think? Let me, can you see all that color, all that vibrancy? I love it. I think it was totally worth it. I had a blast. I think it showed. I hope you did too. And I will see you very, very soon, okay? Bye-bye.